Hello, everybody. I'm the Amazing Atheist, and today we're going to look at a comic from an artist named Barry Deutsch, who I will refer to as Barry Douche, because it's just too easy. And yeah, I never avoid things that are too easy. I go right for them. Why the fuck not? I ain't looking to play shit on hard mode. This comic is called The 32 Types of Anti-Feminist. And I found it on everydayfeminism.com. Now here on the top, there's a little cartoon dude bro guy that's, there's only one kind of feminist, ugly chicks. Am I right or am I right? I wouldn't say all feminists are ugly, but even the ones that aren't become ugly as soon as you hear their ugly rhetoric. Anyway... this is the 32 Types of Anti-Feminists, so, watch for yourself, because I know I have a lot of anti-feminists in my audience. Let me know which one you are. Okay, so first is the Molehill Grower. He says, a feminist on Twitter got her punctuation wrong. Clearly the whole movement has no legitimacy. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, feminists, but... these guys exist on every side of the spectrum, on every issue. More often than not, the reason that people feel the need to correct spelling and punctuation or something like that is because a lot of these feminists on the internet are so retarded and unable to write that it's actually hard to comprehend what they're saying. Now, I don't know of anyone who said the whole movement has no legitimacy because one feminist writes like an idiot. But, of course, these are meant to be satirical, hyperbolic exaggerations. But I would just say that, yeah, those guys exist of every ideological position. You know, there have been plenty of times where people have jumped down my throat for... the slightest little grammar mistake or spelling mistake, or I use the wrong there or something, and people, aha, you're an idiot. That's not something exclusive to feminism or anti-feminism. The Economist. Sexism can't exist because the free market is perfect, so if employers pay women less, women must be worth less. I've never heard this argument before. I've never encountered an anti-feminist with a position even remotely similar to that. I guess that, it's because I don't really travel in a lot of hardcore libertarian circles. I would say that if you do believe that the free market is perfect, which is to me an article of faith, then yeah, maybe you would extrapolate that. But I've just not heard this in the movement, or I mean, not even really movement, but I've never heard this from the people who are criticizing these feminists. In fact, most of the people I know who criticize feminism are not even right wingers at this point. They're disenfranchised left wingers. But I guess this could be out there somewhere. Sure, whatever. The fetus file. This is a zygote. It matters infinitely more than its oven does. Yeah, so this is basically another example of a conservative. The funny thing is, I'm an anti-feminist. I would disagree with this guy. I believe that women have reproductive rights that include abortion. I'm totally cool with abortion. In fact, I believe this planet is overpopulated. I think that we consume too many resources. I think that because of us, we have these things like the droughts in California, dwindling water supplies in places like Kansas, threatening to see a repeat of the Depression-era Dust Bowl type of ecological disaster. Now that's kind of going off onto some weird hippie environmentalist tangent, and I know that's probably not welcome here, but yeah, I believe that there's too many people, and I definitely believe that women have the right to control their bodies. I don't think that you should be forced to be an incubator for a new human being, especially when there's a huge surplus of human beings on the planet as it is. There's enough. We have enough people. If people don't want to have kids, they should be allowed. Now, if we're down to the last 6 people on Earth and a woman wants to get an abortion, then I think maybe the group would have something to say about it. Maybe then her individual rights don't trump the benefits of everybody. But in the context of our current society, sure, I think this guy is an idiot. And, I've definitely seen people espouse that position. But it's not really an anti-feminist position. It's really just a pro-life position. And, obviously it's a zygote at this stage where he's talking about it, but, not all women get their abortions in the zygote phase, and you can certainly acknowledge that pro-lifers are not, doing what they do to defend zygotes. They're doing what they do to defend babies and children and what they consider to be potential future people. Well, what are potential future people? Now, I think that they're misguided and that their morality is false and primarily based on religious reasoning, which is inherently irrational because there is no God. But, this is a caricature. Once again, sure, this comic is meant to be hyperbolic and whatever. So here's the comedian. Feminists only criticize my edgy, quote-unquote, rape jokes because they have no sense of humor. I would say that that's accurate. I would say feminists don't have a sense of humor. I would say feminists actively oppose a sense of humor. As an example, here is a comic strip that's clearly meant to be funny and yet is not funny at all. And it was, of course, drawn by a feminist. They have no sense of humor because the essence of humor is oftentimes confronting areas of thought that are uncomfortable to people. Feminists don't like to be taken outside of their comfort zone. They believe in safe spaces. They believe that they should be sheltered off from the world. They basically want to exist within a square, a box, just like the panels of this comic, but that box is only filled with the things they approve of, and nothing that challenges their worldview should even be allowed, and anyone who dares speak out against them is reduced to a bitter, hateful caricature, like in this comic. I don't know of any comedians who are making rape jokes that in any way support rape or endorse rape or make rape seem like a trivial thing. And this idea that you see going around in feminist circles that humor somehow leads to more severe sexual deviance down the line, like, oh, well, it starts as jokes, but then the jokes make men feel like they live in a culture where they can just get away with treating women like garbage. I mean, it's nonsense. There's no empirical data to back that up whatsoever. Not even good anecdotal evidence, really. God told him so. Feminism tells women to leave their husbands, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians. And then there's a girl. Where do I sign? Leave your husbands. If you want to leave your husband, leave your husband. I don't give a fuck. That's your right. Practice witchcraft. Once again, don't give a shit. Destroy capitalism. Good luck. Become lesbians. Sure. We all like eating pussy. You go ahead. You do you, boo. Not over high school yet. Why wouldn't the hot girls date me? Why? Just what? I mean, I don't... He's not even espousing anything anti-feminist. He's just wondering why he couldn't get any pussy. And if you look at him, it's, obviously implied that, he's just a nerdy guy, and, the girls were probably off fucking... the quarterback or whatever, which, is kind of antithetical to the message of feminism in the first place. But whatever, everyone has the right to fuck who they want to fuck. This guy didn't get any pussy. I don't see him doing anything about it except for crying or sweating and looking at his yearbook and being like, my life is shit. You know, this guy's already got enough problems. Why you trying to kick him while he's down? Come on. The douche bro. Find out if she wants sex before I fuck her. How would that even work? I know, I kind of understand what this is parodying, and this is totally a misconstruction of the reality, which, you know, this is basically like, okay, these feminists say that there must be explicit, positive, affirmative consent. You know, it has to be, would you care to fuck now? And she says, yes, I would care to fuck now. Let us now fuck. Commence the fucking. You know, and these feminists, they say, well, you know, even if the girl is cooperating and she's, you know, making moves herself and she obviously has no objection to what you're doing, basically they're saying that body language isn't sufficient. Because, of course, you know, I mean, I guess there's this narrative in the feminist mind where a girl is sitting there with her wet pussy going, yeah, oh, so good. But if she didn't say yes before that, you know, then it's rape. That's silly. That's basically, you know, that's basically what's being actually addressed here. No one out there is like, how am I supposed to know if she consents? I mean, you know, people, you're the ones who are confused about consent, feminists. You're the ones who are confused. All right? You don't have to explicitly say, yes, I will have sex with you now. The Scholar, after extensive perusal of Wikipedia, I failed to see any difference between feminists and Nazis. Well, for one thing, Nazis had a better fashion sense. You could say that. Whatever. The Good Girl, she's holding a sign that says, I don't hate men. What a monster for not being a misandrist, right? What a piece of shit. I mean, the other ones I can at least see what the negative stereotype is, but in this one, it's just she's literally just saying she doesn't hate an entire group of people, and that's being mocked. Apparently, she should be holding a sign that says, I do hate all men, and then it would be this progressive, wonderful thing, right? The Rationalist. My objective logic proves white men objectively deserve everything we have because we're so super objective. What? I mean, I have to ask at this point, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these in. And not one of these has seemed like a real person that the author has ever encountered. I think that he's never actually encountered a real anti-feminist. And instead of talking about them, he's like, I'm just gonna, you know, 32 Types of Anti-Feminist sounds like a good comic idea, but I don't really feel like, you know, looking for people to satirize, so instead I'm just gonna, you know, make some shit up. Then there's this guy making this argument that's, you know, no one has ever said. No one's even said anything that could be satirized into this or exaggerated into this. The Pickup Artist. It says to neg you now. I don't get it. You know, pickup artists. Yeah, I think most people agree that pickup artists are kind of pathetic. I don't think you have to be a feminist to think that the whole pickup artist thing is silly. But really, most of the pickup artist shit, most of it now, and I mean, there's some fucked up shit out there, but most of it really just centers around giving guys the confidence to actually talk to women, because most of these guys who need this pickup artist shit are guys who can't even figure out how to approach a woman and talk to her. So these are just courses that teach men how to do that. And you know, most of these guys, they're never going to get laid. You know, they're not going to learn charisma from a fucking course. This is just a scam in order to deprive them of their money. And that's pretty much it. The Gamergator. How dare feminists say some gamers are sexist? Fucking whores. you know, I was never big into the Gamergate thing, but it was about quite a bit more than just this narrative of angry male gamers just hating on feminists and calling women whores and calling women sluts and making rape threats and all that shit. Most Gamergaters were completely fucking civil. They put forth ideas. And you know what? You can say those ideas are wrong, or you can think those ideas are right, but you should argue with those ideas and not just make a caricature to dismiss people. Just say, oh, well, they're just all abusive and hateful towards women, and that's just who they are, and therefore we don't have to listen to a word they say. The comparison shopper. It's petty of feminists to even mention first world sexism while Saudi Arabia exists. Has written 17 blog posts about men holding doors open. You know, I think that the sexism that exists in Saudi Arabia does far outweigh the sexism that exists in America. The fact that feminists in America are so privileged and spoiled that they can talk about sexism in video games as their primary issue, while there's countries where women cannot vote, cannot drive, do not have the ability to ask for a divorce. You know, there's plenty of places like that left on Earth. Now, just because Saudi Arabia has worse sexism than America does, that doesn't mean that America is automatically, you know, off the hook or whatever. But I've made the challenge to feminists numerous times. Give me an example of a right that is denied to women. Give me an example of a concrete, tangible, legal right that men have and women do not have. I've yet to have a feminist present me with anything on that front. Creepy. When you think about it, it's natural that teen girls are attracted to middle-aged men. Want to see my hot tub? So would feminists be upset if a 45-year-old rich woman had a 20-year-old boy toy? Would they object to that, or would they label it empowering? I think we all know that they would label it empowering, right? Of course they would. Won't get fooled again. If females aren't liars, then why do they wear makeup? I mean, I think it's a reasonable question. You know, this has its genesis in a, I believe, Chris Rock stand-up routine. The whole point is, you know, you don't really look like that. And, you know, not all women wear makeup, and some feminists take issue with makeup, just like this guy does. But yeah, I mean, it's basically just saying, you know, you're making your appearance deceptive. You don't actually look like that, so that is kind of a lie. But everyone lies. Women lie, men lie. Anybody who is actually putting forth this position is an idiot. But once again, I've never seen someone actually put forth this position. Now, maybe I'm just deprived of this sort of insight, but I don't think this guy really exists. Mr. Buzzword, PC militant, misandrous, cultural Marxist, SJW, gynocentric, authoritarian, gender troglodytes. Wow, I can't believe I'm actually listening to a feminist bitch about buzzwords. Feminism is rife with buzzwords. Marginalized, oppression, misogyny, othering, problematic, you know, just all that bullshit. There's tons of little buzzwords that feminists use to sound smart talking to other feminists. So, you know, criticizing other people for using buzzwords is kind of empty. I try to avoid buzzwords myself. You know, let's speak in a common language that everyone understands. Going his own way. This 20-year-old doesn't want to sleep with me, so I'm giving up women forever. And she's like, promises, promises. You know, why even attack this guy? You know, if she doesn't want him and he doesn't want women and he's like, I fuck women, I'm done with them. Why would feminists discourage that? You apparently don't like this guy. You think he's a scumfuck, so, you know, what are you really losing? Why even bitch about it? That'd be like if the idiot coalition of America said, let's give the amazing atheist a wide berth and not subject him to any of our idiocy. And I was like, bullshit, you're gonna fucking come annoy me with your stupidity. I demand it. That doesn't make sense. The open wound. If you defend feminism, it might kill me. I demand that you defend feminism. I don't... What? I'm sorry, I don't even know what the fuck is going on in this one. He's rubber, you're glue. Feminazis are the real misogynists. Well, I think he has a point there, the angry little shouting guy with the man symbol on his shirt. Or wait, is that a woman symbol? I can't remember. No, it's a man symbol. Wait. Ah, fuck it. Who knows? I can't remember that stupid 60s bullshit. It probably predates the 60s, whatever. But, I mean, when you have an ideology that basically is perpetually putting the spotlight on women as victims when they're actually not victims, then, yeah, I think that, you're basically selling a narrative that women are weak, that society has to bend over backwards to capitulate to women, all because they claim oppression. But they're not actually subject to oppression in the West. You've never been able to demonstrate that they are. Your arguments for that narrative are so weak sauce that most people do not take them seriously. I think that when you start putting forth the idea that women are weak, women need this special help in order to get a leg up in society, I think that is a form of misogyny. So yeah, I agree with this angry shouting caricature, and I proudly do so. That's not real rape lady, and she's saying, but if she didn't say no a fifth time, then, this is silly. No one says that a woman who says no and then someone has sex with her, no one is arguing that that's not rape. If someone is, then 99.99% of people who identify as anti-feminists are going to tell that person, no, that totally is rape. You're being ridiculous. What anti-feminist people actually have a problem with is women who don't ever say no, who in fact go along with sex and then afterwards say, well, I was raped, or they don't even have sex. They just accuse someone of raping them. And we're just automatically supposed to believe their accusation, and we're supposed to ignore innocent until proven guilty. We're supposed to act like, her word is enough to just condemn somebody. I don't believe that that's rational. I don't think that jumping to conclusions is something to be endorsed. I understand that, if someone makes a claim that they were raped, it should definitely be taken seriously. It should definitely be investigated. But it shouldn't be uncritically accepted and believed and, the burden put on the accused to prove his innocence. No one should have to prove that they're innocent of a crime. They should have to be proven guilty of that crime. Do you disagree with that? Back away slowly. Females have conspired to lower men's sperm counts. Like I said, there's plenty of people around, so it ain't working if they are. I don't know. Maybe there's some Alex Jones-esque anti-feminists out there speaking that kind of quackery, but they have nothing to do with me, so whatever. Back away quickly. Women control the sexual market, so I am forced to go alpha and take control in a way that just barely falls short of rape. Okay. He's wearing a red pill shirt, so I assume they're talking about the red pill crowd. I don't have anything to do with the red pill crowd. I'm not going to defend the red pill crowd. I think they are pretty misogynistic and stupid. But, what he's saying, women control the sexual market, so I'm forced to go alpha and take control in a way that just barely falls short of rape. Obviously he's not forced to do that. Without knowing what position you're actually parodying, it's hard to really say whether this caricature is fair or not. But, probably it isn't, just based on everything around this. The spokesman. As a man, I know all real men hate feminism because that's how manly men roll. If this is supposed to be an example of a manly man, shouldn't he, look more manly? Shouldn't he have, like, big muscles or something instead of being like a fat, frumpy, little, short, Weasley-looking guy wearing big sunglasses and shit? I don't know that real men hate feminists. I don't know that real men like feminists. I think real men are, or at least the vast majority of men, just don't really have much to say about feminism one way or the other. It's just like they don't give a shit. They don't even want to wade into this crazy character assassination laden argument that is going on about gender on the internet today. Most men are smart enough to avoid that. Luckily, I'm stupid enough to keep coming back for more. This is Wee Bit Paranoid. They're coming for our porn! And he has the door nailed shut. Some feminists are coming for your porn. I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them are. So, they're not going to ever get their way, most likely. There's no reason to actually be afraid of the efficacy of feminism, at least not yet. But, that is actually part of the feminist agenda for many feminists. So... the UK has all these crazy new porn laws, like you can't show a woman being spanked on film or something like that. Doesn't matter that it's consensual, doesn't matter that it's her choice. It was just labeled, it's misogyny, it's violence against women, fuck context. We're going to censor this. It's the law. It's accurate to say they're coming for your porn. The amazing Twitter man. I will prove this feminist wrong by tweeting an anonymous rape threat. I wasn't aware that you could be anonymous on Twitter. I didn't know you could you could send an anonymous message. I mean, I believe every message on Twitter has to be associated with an account. Now, that account doesn't necessarily have to be linked to your name, but, you can't just outright send an anonymous rape threat tweet. We're always hearing about these rape threats that feminists are getting. I don't know who is sending these, if anyone actually is. But if they are, it's clearly trolling. It's clearly just trying to get feminists riled up. How can the It's Science guy. How can feminists deny that women evolved to love dusting? Clearly they're anti-science. There are tangible, concrete, scientific differences between men and women, how our brains work, things like that. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean women evolved to love dusting. Once again, I recognize that this is hyperbole. But, to deny, is the intent behind this panel of the comic to deny that there's a difference between men and women, to deny that there are, in a general manner of speaking, tangible differences in the way that men and women see the world in general? Now, obviously, things are always going to be different from an individual to individual basis. But once again, in a generalized way, women might see things a certain way, men might see things a different way. Are we to just ignore that? Or are we to just pretend that doesn't exist because it conflicts with some ideological conviction held by feminists? I think that we need to put the truth above our, above what we wish were so, what we desire to be true. The Swiss Army knife of hate. Feminazis and race pimps and Muslims and Jews and, Muslims, I get it, Muslims. Here's yet another feminist, defending Islam. the most misogynistic mainstream religion on the face of the planet, that, huge numbers of Muslim countries, not all Muslim countries, but huge numbers of Muslim countries do not have equal rights for women, and yet that is excused in the name of, well, that's their culture. Well, I think that if you're going to be a feminist, then you should want to liberate women from oppression where they are actually being oppressed. But instead, feminists defend the oppression that women suffer in the third world and in less developed countries because, well, it's culture, but they claim oppression in our very pluralistic Western democracies. It's a very strange state of affairs, and it's not at all ideologically consistent. It's very bizarre. The anti-feminist feminist. Speaking as a feminist, feminism is evil. Oh, look, another book contract. Well, feminists are always turning on each other, and of course, there's not just one type of feminism. There are many different feminisms. But yeah, I could see it's totally rational and reasonable that one tradition of feminism would clash with another tradition of feminism. The subject changer. And speaking of whatever it is you're talking about, male circumcision is worse than Hitler. Well, male circumcision isn't worse than Hitler. In fact, there's nothing wrong with circumcision. What there is a problem with is circumcision being done to people who can't consent to it. And you would think that the feminists would understand the value of consent, yet they think it's okay to mutilate little boys' genitals shortly after they're born without these men being able to say anything or raise any objection. I believe that, if you want to be circumcised, then sure, wait till you reach the age of reason, when you have a better and more fully formed sense of identity, and if you want a circumcision, you go get one. It's a relatively easy procedure. It's considerably easier for an adult to understand and endure and make that choice than for it to just be forced upon a child who has no idea what's happening. Just because there might have been a tradition where we crop children's ears at birth. Would people defend that if it was a time-honored tradition? Of course they would, because people are idiots. That's not really a subject changer, though, especially if feminists are talking about the inequalities faced by women in America. It's not a subject changer to talk about the inequalities faced by men in America. It's absolutely not. It's totally pertinent. The traditionalist. Women hold jobs now. I despair for the ruin of our once great society. Well, women have held jobs for quite some time, longer than this guy's lifespan. There were certain careers that for a long time were closed off to women. They no longer are. And, women to this day bemoan the lack of women in STEM fields and stuff, but then these very women, when they go to college, they go get a business degree with undergraduate in fucking gender studies or some stupid shit. And they'll fuck, we're not in the STEM fields. We're not in the STEM fields. Well, enroll in the fucking STEM fields, you dumbass. It doesn't just change because you wish it were so. Women actually have to make the choice to get into those fields before those fields change and become, more women in them. I mean, you basically want there to be more women in these fields, but you don't want to put the onus on women to actually join up. It's the men's fault. It's men's fault that careers that are predominantly done by men don't have women, even though the men are not doing anything to bar the women from entry. There's nothing that stops a woman from signing up for a fucking computer engineering class. There's nothing whatsoever. In fact, I know some girls in STEM fields who are going to college to get that sort of education. And I ask them, do you find that there's barriers and hurdles when you're a woman? They said, no, actually, I feel like I get a lot of special concessions and everything is very conciliatory towards me. Now, that's completely anecdotal. Maybe I'm mistaken, whatever. I don't think so. The anti-male anti-feminist. Men can't be expected to refrain when women wear short skirts because all men are beasts. Well, that's true. You know, if I see a girl in a short skirt, I mean, there's one thing on my mind and one thing alone, and that is rape. And, you know, if I get half a chance, you know, that bitch is going to get fucked in the ass against her will. And that's just how it is. Seriously, who the fuck says this? Who the fuck says this? Find me the person you're even satirizing. You know, Roosh V doesn't count, all right? Roosh V doesn't count. That guy is a retard. Find me a person who's actually respected that holds that point of view, that men just can't control themselves. Actually, you know, an ideology that says that is Islam. That's why women have to cover up their entire bodies and show no skin whatsoever, because men can't be expected to control themselves. And yet you guys persist in defending Muslims at every turn. And it's ridiculous. And here's the final one on the list, the cartoon critic. It's a list of 406 ways your vomit-worthy travesty of a cartoon is dishonest, deceitful, and full of lies. Well, this one is obviously me, because I just went through a feminist comic and offered my thoughts up. Sorry I didn't have time to do a more scripted, polished version of this. I have a Drunken Peasants show to go to. We're going to have Vegan Gains and Mr. Repsion in a debate about veganism and whatever else that's going to be moderated by our very own Paul's Ego. Hopefully that'll be a good episode, and you should tune into the Drunken Peasants channel if you want to see that. If you're not a subscriber of the Drunken Peasants channel, you should subscribe. Anyway, the 32 types of anti-feminist, mostly bullshit. Occasionally I can see where the guy who wrote it is coming from, but usually it's either so hyperbolic and exaggerated from what the basis is that it no longer even retains any sort of valid criticism, because the factors have been changed so much and so arbitrarily. They've been forced to conform to this feminist narrative and worldview that doesn't really represent reality very well. Some are like that, and then some are just like, they almost have they're almost off topic, like they have nothing to do with it. And then there's others that I don't even know what they're trying to say, but it's basically all shit. I could say that, you know, the artwork is pretty nice. It's okay. I do like some of the guys' caricatures. Some of them are kind of fun, but that's pretty scant praise for such a terrible comic. And never anything that rang true enough to be funny, unfortunately. You know, here's a comic strip. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to make people laugh. It's not funny because there can't be any humor when there's not any truth, and there's no truth in this. And that's disgusting. I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out.